Hey
think
there,
we're live.
folks. I believe so.
All right.
And as we did last time, we're just going to wait a little while and give people a chance to get on board.
Yes. All right. So again, running two. Excuse me while I look this way because I'm running two computers here. So we're letting some people come in the room.
And again, we hope that we have the sound worked out. It's funny because last video we had some sound issues where some people didn't find any problem at all with the sound.
Yep.
Some people found my volume was extremely low. And I have to say, when I played it back myself, it sounded pretty low to me. But yet, others found it to be fine. So we're trying a different system this time. So please tell us how you find the sound at the moment.
That would be great. Hopefully we've rectified it, and we're gonna. They could hear me just fine.
They could hear you, which is the important bit, really.
Yeah, that's the. Oh, much better. We got a much better.
Hooray!
Excellent. If only we had known it during the time. But
That's right.
We thought we had some people saying it was great.
People were saying
it wasn't.
That's right. We had.
I'm so confused.
That's right. It's something strange in the mix of the internet.
Yes.
I'm glad beekeeping doesn't involve all sorts of technology.
Oh my gosh, me too.
We've just ruined it for ourselves with all this technology.
I know, right? I know. So, but man, what a great workshop this has been. I mean, this has been one of our larger classes.
It took me all day to go through all the comments last on Thursday after the Wednesday.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for all those comments. We hope that you were satisfied with our replies. We got through quite a few of them during the workshop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We don't anticipate getting through quite as many today.
Yeah.
But I don't anticipate having quite as many questions today. But we'll see.
We never know. We never know. And poor Peter is whole. I work full time, so you can kind of see when I'm working and when I'm not, because all of a sudden I'm absent for a while. But I'm here really early in the morning, and then after I get out of work. So God love Peter. He's kept up with most of your answers, and I've been doing the stuff in the background, emails and anything like that. The tech stuff, which is terrifying because I'm horrible at tech. Horrible at tech.
The blind leading the blind.
I know, right?
Right. So how are we for numbers so far?
We're at 61.
61? Terrific.
61 already.
I'd say we should start, get on with things then.
I think we should.
So, as we did last time, please, again, put down your name and where you're from. And this is going to go as further towards the draw that we're going to do. We'll do one early on this evening, one maybe middle, and one towards the end.
So the drawings from tonight, though, are going to be from our first live.
Well, the first part of it, we're going to keep on adding them. Our helpers are adding them to the part as we speak.
Because we love to give things away.
That's right. But the people who are there for the first one, they've got the best shot because they've got only a few hundred in there right now, as opposed to 400 or 500 by the time we get to the end.
Right. So, again, let's go through the housekeeping things. If you folks have questions, let them rip. We're going to start wrapping up the workshop here. We've had a great week with you folks. We hope you all enjoyed it. We absolutely love doing this. And so we're going to be winding that part down. But I think we're going to give you guys a little extra attention. And normally the end of the workshop is Friday, but I think we're going to stick with you guys a little bit longer.
We've had so many people. There's a lot of questions. So we want to try and make sure you're happy with what you've had so far.
Yeah, and we've actually even had some people coming in. We had one come in today. So if you're new to us and just joining us, welcome.
Binge watch us on Saturday.
That's right. Binge watch us. That's right. So
I wanted to tell folks in terms of the people that responded and just put where they were from in the last workshop. We had hundreds of you did, of course, from 44 of our 50 states.
Wow.
On top of that, we had one from Ontario, one from Curacao, and one from Armenia. So
very cool.
Very international.
We've gone international.
We've gone international officially now.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, like I said, I mean, just you guys have been absolutely great. And isn't it wonderful that we can do something like this, share our passion with people that are interested in doing this, and everybody in this group has been wonderful.
Yeah.
And
terrific.
Kind and supportive, and that's what this business is about. That's why we did this, and it can be done, and we're pretty proud of that.
That's right.
Proud
That's
of
right.
that. So we've got some questions already coming in.
Okay. You
and
gonna
we're
hog them all? Or you gonna give one or two to me?
you can have one.
Okay. There we go.
So, yeah. All right, you go first then.
Okay. What can we do to hives if we have a swarm on the way, or storm on the way?
Good question.
There's very little preparation you need to do if your hive is mounted correctly on its stand. It's not in danger of tipping over and things. You don't want to, when you choose your location, you want to make sure there isn't a dead tree hanging over it, and make sure it's stable on solid ground, and if necessary, strapped down. And these storms can come anytime. You might be away on vacation when the storm comes. So, as a routine, just make a preparation as if there's a storm coming anyway. Remember, the bees are going to glue everything together, and very often the case, even if a hive tips over, sometimes they stay sealed together because the bees actually glue them together. This is especially true if you ratchet strap them.
And
together.
that's what I do. Like up here in the wintertime, mine are always ratchet strapped down. I have my hives up on cinder blocks, and I run a ratchet strap over the top and through the cinder blocks. So not only does that hold my cover down nice and tight, but also if there's going to be some blowing around, it's got to move 2 cinder blocks with it as well. So
yeah, and that's generally not going to happen.
No, generally not. But it's an
usually
added.
The hives are pretty darn heavy anyway.
This is true. But
and
we've had storms.
Covers can blow off. So
that's
why I try to put rocks or bricks on top of my hives. I don't have them strapped down. I have them sitting on a pallet, so they're lower down to the ground anyway. So I've never had a hive tip over, but I have had covers blow off if I forget to put the rock on or something like that.
Yeah, and mine have rocks on in the summers because I don't want to unratchet strap all the time. But if you know you've got some serious weather coming, it's not going to hurt to ratchet strap.
Storms in terms of cold and things, generally speaking. Let's say if you're insulated in the north, it's not going to make any difference. We get storms all the time. If you're in the middle of the country and it's going to get cold for 2 weeks or something like that, don't really worry about it. Don't stress too much. The hives here in Maine can survive without insulation. They do better with insulation, but we're talking about, we haven't seen it above 30 degrees for more than 3 or 4 days in the last 2 to 3 months. So the bees can cope with that. So don't stress too much about it. Just take sensible precautions. If you've got regular cold weather, insulation's a really good idea.
When do we feed bees sugar water? That's a good question. So when we feed sugar water, there's several times when we want to feed them. One, we just get our bees. We install a nucleus colony or a package. We got brand new set of bees. We want to feed them sugar water right off the bat because they're going to be building comb inside those hives, and they need sugar water to do that. So when you get your bees, brand new bees, you want to feed them. If you've gone through the whole summer and it's heading for winter, and you're trying to get your stores up for the bees to get through the wintertime, that's another time you're going to feed them sugar water. It's after the honey supers come off and you're trying to really bulk those hives up and get them good and heavy to get your bees through the winter.
Yeah, and we might feed them 2 to 1, 2 parts sugar to 1 part water in the fall in order to do that bulking up.
Right. So there's 2 different. In the spring, and when we first get our bees, we're doing a 1-to-1 sugar syrup. So 1 part water to 1 part sugar. But like Peter said, when you get into the fall, then we go into 2 part sugar, 1 part water. It's a lot more.
And that's if they need it. If the brood chambers are already full of honey, we don't need to feed them in the fall. But sometimes we do. So it's just a matter of doing your regular inspections and looking how many of the frames are full of honey, etc., like we went through in the second video. Here's an interesting one. Can we get 1-to-1 mentorship?
Oh,
yes, you
sure
can. And in effect, you can get 1-to-1 mentorship by joining Beekeeping 24/7. And just like if you post a question there, an independent question there, Amy and/or I will respond to those, and we'll continue to respond to them as long as you've got a question. And so we're there for you all the time in that. So whilst this group is going to finish in a few more, let's say in a few more days, as opposed to tonight, you'll be able to have that 24/7, and you can get monthly or yearly membership. The monthly memberships are cancelable. You can cancel at any time. And the yearly membership, you've got us for a year, and you can take advantage of all the things we do in beekeeping 24/7. That includes things like detailed beekeeping classes.
Yeah.
12, instead of just covering everything in a couple of videos, we do everything in 12 detailed videos. It's not like getting a one and done beekeeping class. That's the downside about going to a beekeeping class, is once you've done it, you're done.
You're done.
Yeah.
And if you're like me, it's gone as I walk out the door.
Yeah.
So.
And the other things about it is you as well as the mentoring and the classes and things, you've got the community of people, just like this group here. We don't have as many as 600 people in Beekeeping 24/7 currently. So
Hopefully
we
someday.
have, but one day we will. But
will.
you will have the community of people again, where you have friendly advice. People are interested in the answers that are being given to you, as opposed to criticizing you for saying something silly. And so it is a very, very friendly group to work with, for sure.
Yep, no, it definitely
We
is.
even have things like intermediate classes that we do. All of these things are free with membership.
Yep, sure can. And like I said, it's a. I can't say enough about the group. I can't say enough about the group. We've got an amazing group of members. So another one is Damari Split your go-to for strong hives coming out of spring? So
it's becoming that way.
It is becoming that way for me. I love doing Damari. It's a little bit more of an advanced method, and you kind of got to know what you're doing and what you're looking
And
at.
just as a very quick explanation, a Damari is where you effectively split the brood chamber and move most of the brood into a distant part of the hive at the top,
Make it
and
bigger.
you get the queen down into a new, smaller brood chamber down at the bottom. It is way too complicated to describe for an beginner class.
Yeah.
However, it is a way of producing a monster hive to stop swarming and to get an enormous amount of honey. And Amy's proven that point many times over the last few summers with hundreds of pounds of honey per hive. I'm doing more and more of them. My plan is this year, as I reduce my number of hives, I'm going to do more of those just to get more out of each hive that I do have.
Yeah, it is a great method, and like I said, it is labor intensive, and you kind of got to know what you're doing. We do have a couple videos about that in Beekeeping 24/7 because some of our members are at that level in our group, and they've started doing it as well.
Yeah.
So.
Here's an interesting one, a different sort of questions today. What do you enjoy most about beekeeping? Well, as a kid, I started when I was 11 years old, and what I wanted to do is make honey. And I was interested in animals, and I've been a zoologist all my life. But initially, it was that. It then, I'd say 20 years ago, it was more about stress busting for me. It was my relief from a very stressful job that I was involved with. And now, what I really enjoy the most is the teaching.
Yep.
Things like this, because it's, and going to things like craft fairs and talking to the customers, and both people buying honey and the people that are keeping bees and asking me questions and things. The interaction with other beekeepers, I find, is huge.
Yep.
How about you?
So for me, after, when I was a new beekeeper, I was nervous, and, it was kind of like when everything clicked and I finally knew what I was doing, and I'm comfortable, and it doesn't take all that long. For me, there's two things. One is like what Peter said. I love talking about bees, and when people ask me questions and they're like, really? And I'll give them an answer that it fascinates them. Like, they're like, well, do they die in the winter, or do they hibernate? I'm like, no, even up here in Maine, they keep the hive almost 90 degrees by generating their own heat, and that blows some people's mind that bugs can do that.
They're even starting to make babies in February.
Yep. So there's that part of it. But one of the things that I love the most, and again, it was I have a very stressful job, and I had to have something to relieve some of my stress. And one of the things for me, it's the smell. It's the smell. And I can guarantee every time I'm done working my hives and I take my gloves off, I always, there's a certain smell.
On that note for me, in the spring opening the beehives, not just the smell, but the sound.
And the sound.
Just the bees going about their business on a warm, sunny day, and you open the hive and they're just still doing their thing. It's just absolutely incredible.
And one of my
Yeah.
favorites too is when you take that lid off and it's a nice sunny day and the bees are calm in their front. You take it off and you've got all these little faces looking at you.
Let's see. Hi.
And I'm always like, "Hi, girls," you know. And that's when they go, "No, they don't. They don't." I love it when they're just all lined up. They're just looking at you. It's actually quite cute. So those are some of the things we love about
Yep.
it. There's lots of things I love about it.
Definitely.
Definitely.
You keep on talking about it all day.
I could.
We usually do. Okay, how do we keep hives cool in the summer? The answer is you don't. The bees do the cooling of the hive. You can provide them with a good source of water, which will help them. That's how they keep it cool. They put drops of water around the hive and they fan them vigorously and cool the hive by evaporation. There's very little, in fact, keeping the hives in the sun is the healthiest thing you can do for the bees. Even in the south, it helps avoid things like small hive beetles. So don't fret about them getting too hot. Maybe if you're in a desert environment and it's 120 degrees regularly, I would put a board over the top with a concrete block on it to sort of shade the hive. But that's as much as I would do.
Yep. Can I build a hive and leave it in the garage until I get bees? You sure can.
Yeah,
You sure can.
absolutely.
Yep. Yep. And like we mentioned in the other one, the fun part is painting your hive. You know, picking your color, and if you got kids, letting them decorate it. That's a lot of fun. But yes, you can have it all ready to go. And actually, you'd be looking at it all the time, going, being anxious for your bees.
I'm just trying to make heads or tails of this sentence. This here, it's written down for me, and I'm trying to read it. How different beekeeping in the cold versus how is it different in the cold versus mild weather? A little shorthand here makes it harder to read sometimes. Like using Formic Pro, but don't think weather works for 2 weeks. Yeah. During Formic Pro, for example, we don't want to go into too much detail today, but Formic Pro is a strong mite treatment. It's got formic acid in it. And so you can't use it if the temperatures are above 85 degrees. However, it's really only looking at the weather forecast for the next 3 days or so, because the off-gassing of formic acid fumes in the hive really goes down by about 70% in the first few days. So as long as those first few days are below 85 degrees, you're okay. If the weather fluctuates a bit after that, don't worry about it. It should be absolutely fine. But follow the directions on the mite treatment.
Have you used roller with spikes to uncap the honey, and do you recommend it? So I don't use that one. Peter has a terrifying tool that he uses because he's got like an industrial extractor, but he uses a hot. It's like a hot blade, and it comes right off really quick.
Yeah.
I'm terrified I'm going to burn myself.
I looked at one of those rollers before and I tried it. I thought, that's not really doing what I need it to do. It's also leaving behind a lot of wax, which is then blocking up my sieves and that sort of thing. So what it's doing is breaking the cell tops as opposed to removing them. And then because I'm putting a lot of honey through my little sieves, my 600 micron mesh, they block up really quickly if there's lots of wax, so it's far better for me to cut it off. I'm not a great fan of those rollers personally.
The one I like, it's got like tongs or teeth and a little blade, and I can just drag it right down and pull the wax off that as well, and it makes a nice clean cut for the wax to flow out a lot better. So the roller one, I wouldn't recommend that. There may be people that like that, but I like either the hot blade or the blades that. What I use is not hot. It just slices right down.
Right. How to protect hives from moths? They destroyed my 3 hives. We're very fortunate here in the Northeast. We've got relatively little problem with wax moths. So for instance, it's rare for a colony to be overcome by wax moths if it's alive.
It's the stored stuff.
But the stored stuff has a real problem with wax moth, and we'd use something like paramoth for that. But further south, there are more issues where a weak hive can succumb to wax moths as well. And so the key is keeping your hives relatively strong. And this is where having more than one hive really pays dividends. Again, is that any hive that is relatively weak, you make sure you strengthen it. Make sure that it's not over super. Don't put too much room on the hive, otherwise the bees can't patrol the area. It can be that you're putting too many boxes on too early, and the bees just can't keep everything free of pests like wax moths or small hive beetles. So run your hive a little closer to the line of being a little crowded. Don't try and do it so that they're not crowded, but that there's plenty of bees in the hive, and so that way pests are taken care of. A strong hive will take care of these pests. These issues will not be a case in a strong hive.
I see one on here. It says, when you extract, do you leave a lot of wax on the frames for the bees, or can you take it all off for candles and other things? So when we're extracting our honey, we just take off the top part of it. So the bees will seal each one of these cells with wax. That's the wax we take off, just the very top of it. We leave the comb on the frame because we can put it right back in the hive, and they will repair any damage that we did and refill it. If you take it all off, then they've got to rebuild from scratch. And again, it takes a lot of honey and or sugar water for them to build that back out. So it's a lot more effective if you just take the very top off. Now those cappings, it's called wax cappings, that adds up.
Yeah, it adds up, and it's pristine, clean wax.
Super clean.
Now, you can increase your wax harvest quite a lot, not by destroying your combs, but every time you go into your bee yard, you'll find that they've made bridging comb and little ridges of wax on the tops of the frames and things, things that are just in the way of your beekeeping or just look like a mess. Scrape that off with your hive tool and save those pieces. In fact, I would say most beekeepers would get more wax from those pieces through the year than they would from their wax cappings, even if they make a lot of honey. I only get about 2 or 3 pounds of wax for 100 pounds of honey, but I'll bet I'd get more than a couple of pounds of wax from a hive in the process of cleaning up over the course of a year. So save those bits of wax, and you can harvest more honey. Shall we do one of the drawers?
Let's do a drawing. Let's take a break.
Let's take. Yeah, we've got lots of questions coming in.
We are. We're like, God, I'm so glad we have helpers over here.
I can see where my Saturday morning is going.
Yes,
right
because we can't keep up with them. Like, I can't scroll fast enough over here. So.
That's wonderful.
We're going to do a drawing.
Keep those questions coming in. Right.
Drawing.
Okay. So we've got those things so far. Do you want to do the first one?
I sure will.
Okay.
So we're going to do the ball cap. Do the ball cap first. Paige Wood.
Paige Wood.
Paige Wood. I'm going to write the name down.
Put that over there as well. Paige Wood, congratulations. You've won the Beekeeping 24/7 baseball cap, much as Amy is fashionably showing right now.
Yes, I am.
And so please message us with your full address so that we can send you a baseball cap.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Well done.
All right. We'll do that 2 more times here throughout the broadcast.
What do you think of compressed foam hives? Well, we like to keep it simple. We try out a lot of different hives. I have some old styrofoam hives, and they do perfectly well. They are very well insulated because they're about 2 inches thick of styrofoam. They are a little less robust. They're more easily damaged, especially if you're using hot equipment like oxalic acid vaporizer, and that melts a little track in the front. But yes, I have put my hot smoker on top of one of those hives and melted a nice little circle in the top. So yes, they are more vulnerable to damage, but they are very good in terms of insulation. So no problem with them. We like to use the wood because everything is much more easily interchangeable and that sort of thing. I find it a bit of a nuisance having multiple different styles of hives, but we like to test them out.
Yep.
So, but they're pretty good. They're standard equipment, standard frames and that sort of thing, but just a thicker wool hive.
How high off the ground should hives be? So you want them up off the ground far enough to keep moisture from getting to them. Some people use pallets. Peter uses pallets with his. I use cinder blocks. If you have problems with skunks, you have those type of critters around, cinder blocks are the way to go because you want that skunk to have to stand up because the skunk will go and scratch on a hive and eat the beads as they come out. But if they stand up, their belly is exposed and they don't like getting stung on their belly. So, and I also like them up a little bit off the ground because I'm not bending down so far to do it. So,
but it does mean when Amy's hives get a bit bigger, she calls me around to lift the boxes off the top.
I do.
And so it's a good compromise. Try and not to make your hives too high,
Right.
because you end up having to pay for it later in the year. But too low, and some critters can be an issue.
Yeah,
So get
and
that.
bending over.
Usually one cinder block, and something on that cinder block is about the sweet spot.
Yep.
Somewhere between 9 and 15 inches high.
Yep.
Are there any household items toxic to bees to keep away from? I can't think of anything that you typically have around the house or yard that you wouldn't, in the normal precautions you'd have, and not having them around for kids or pets and that sort of thing. I wouldn't say there's anything that's likely to give your bees a really big issue. But obviously things like if you're spraying the yard or something like that, avoid things like the weed and feed crap that people put on their lawns and stuff. Let the dandelions and the clover grow, please.
Yes.
Don't use fungicides on the lawn and things, but basically the bees are not going to go after those things on a lawn anyway. And unless the plant, it's a flowering plant that's got these things on it, it's usually not a major issue for the hive. But I can't think of anything specific that's a particular product that we want to keep away from specifically. The bees are pretty good.
How is the base prepared to hold the hives? So there's many different ways that people do this. There's, like I said earlier, Peter does pallets. What I've done, I put crushed stone down, I put pavers down on top of that, and then I have cinder blocks, and my hives go on top of that. There's other people out there that make hive stands by putting cinder blocks up and putting poles, flattened poles between them, and they set them up on that. There's many, many different ways. There's hive stands that you can buy, but you know what? Just either pallets or cinder blocks is probably the least expensive way to go, and it works great. And I like the cinder blocks because I can ratchet strap them down if I've got some nasty weather coming in. So.
Okay, if I start hives with a package this spring, how soon before I can harvest honey? Great question. I have seen it. This really depends on your particular local honey flows and when you get your package installed. So first of all, assuming everything's going right and you've got a nice big honey flow, let's say we're here in Maine. We put a package in the beginning of May. We have honey flows through May, through June, and usually into July, and then again later in the fall. And if you feed the bees heavily during the first couple of month or so, they will build their comb out very quickly. And so hopefully in the first 6 weeks, you'll have both your first deep and your second deep fully built. That means you still got a month left of potential honey flow. And so then you get a honey super on without a queen excluder, get them building that. And if it's a strong honey flow, I have seen first year hives do as much as make 3 supers of honey in their first year. It's exceptional to do that. I would say much more common is 1 super of honey in the first year. And usually that's harvested in like September. But I've seen taking a honey super off in July and another couple in September, and I've done that on more than one occasion.
Yeah, it's all weather dependent and honey.
Weather and local flora.
I've got one here. It's like, how much is membership? Let's talk about this for a little bit, because we got some information that we want to hand on to you guys. So a membership to Beekeeping 24/7. Peter mentioned it a little bit earlier. It's $47 a month. Or if you want to do a year and you save over $100, it's $397 a year.
If you think about it this way, it's about half the price of having the kids do a piano lesson for the year. For if only once a month for the year, and it's less than half that.
Right. So and if you do the monthly, you can cancel at any time. Anytime you just you can go into the website and you cancel it whenever you want. For the year, like Peter said earlier, you've got us all year. And again, there's no limit as to how many questions or how much interaction we can have. Whenever you guys have the question, we're going to answer it. And one of the cool things that we do, and our members will tell you this, we get some really good questions, like we're getting from you folks here, and we'll do a video answer. We'll go out.
2 of the videos we posted today, the smoker lighting and the bee sting, those were in response to questions.
So we will go out, and sometimes we even do what's called live in the hive, and we will go out and we'll go live just like this out in the hive, and talk about what we're seeing. People may have questions with what they're seeing. We do a lot of stuff like that, and we have fun. We have some goofy videos as well, which our members are looking forward to.
Usually at each other's expense.
At our, yeah, if somebody messes, one of us mess up, we're going to catch it on video and absolutely let everybody else know about it.
And believe me, we do mess up.
We do. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we want to offer you folks is, if you join Beekeeping 24/7, and there's a limited time. The doors are only going to be open for 5 days to join, because all
That's
of our
5
attention.
days from today, which is
today.
Friday.
Yep. So all of our attention goes back to our members. I mean, our members are kind enough to put us on loan here for this week, so we can be with you folks. So, there is a limited amount of time when you can join. 2 things. One, if you do join us, you will be entered into a drawing to win one of the triple layer jackets, and that includes. We've already had several people, even more than that now, join us already. Your names will go in as well, so you will be included in that. But also, what we're going to do is, if you join us, we're going to give you a coupon, and we will you'll get the money back from this workshop for the $10 workshop. We'll take that off. So there is a coupon available for you to join.
That coupon is newbie with uppercase letters NEWBEE. So put that in the coupon code place if you're signing up for Beekeeping 24/7, and you'll have the cost of this workshop refunded.
Absolutely.
Other things that we do in Beekeeping 24/7, we have about 100 of those extra videos.
Oh yeah, easily.
That are in there. At least 100 more. We've got an intermediate class that we've done.
We have a winter.
Any workshops like this, the winter workshops, the spring workshops, the intermediate, the beginner workshops, you can watch again and again and again for free. You can join in the live participation as well.
Yeah.
And even if you're in the area, and we welcome you to come to Maine, it's a beautiful place to come to in the spring. When we do in-person classes here, you can join us for that for free. So again, there's a lot of little extras in there as well. In addition, typically our members get more than double the national survivorship of people of like experienced people keeping bees. The membership is for the whole household, so as opposed to going to a beekeeping class where you pay $100 per person or $150 per person, you paid one membership. Everyone in the household is entitled to watch those videos and things, so you've got a much better value there. And also, you're typically going to produce a lot more honey, and so if you're looking to make a little money selling your honey or just have that extra stuff to give away, you're going to probably produce a lot more honey as members of Beekeeping 24/7 than going it alone.
So there's a good question I'm looking at right now. It says, I'm not starting my hive until next year. Should I wait to join? No. I mean, if you join us now, you're going to be you're going to have the benefit of all of these classes and all of these extra videos. And when you do get your bees, you're going to be more than ready. And not only that, it's going to get you more excited by seeing what our members are doing, and you can kind of live vicariously through them. So totally up to you, but you're more than welcome to join us now and kind of and just get your bee.
Yeah.
Get your bee on.
If you start now, chances are you're just not going to be able to wait. You're going to decide to keep.
You'll probably start this spring.
You're going to start the spring anyway, but because it is kind of addictive.
Excited.
It's kind of addictive.
It is. All right.
Okay, back to the
These are
questions.
piling up, you guys.
Yep. How far away should 2 hives be? They can literally touch each other. You do not have to have the hives separated. They can be as close as that. Generally, just make sure you've got room to work around them.
What do you do if you accidentally kill the queen during a hive inspection? Oh, that's always terrifying. It doesn't happen often.
Yes,
It really doesn't happen often. Can it happen? Yes, it can happen. But chances are you won't know it's happened until you do your next inspection, and you're going to notice that something is off in the hives. There might be some queen cells in there.
Yeah, because as long as that queen was busy laying eggs, they're starting right away making a new queen.
Yep,
In
they
fact,
know immediately.
They'll take larvae that are 4 days old, and in 11 days, 12 days, they will have a new queen emerge. 5 days later, she'll go out on her mating flight, and a day or 2 after that, she'll be laying eggs again.
Yep.
So basically, you've set your hive back 2 or 3 weeks, but you've not killed it. Unless you've unless the queen got killed in October or something like that, and she cannot successfully mate, that's very unfortunate and even more rare.
Yeah.
But yeah, the bees can fix the problem.
So, and like I said, it rarely happens, but one of the things that you'll learn is a lot of people have problems, finding the queen. One of the other person asked about marking a queen. I've seen a question about that. Marking the queen, yeah, it makes her stand right out. It doesn't mean that the mark is going to stay on the queen, because the bees have been known to groom it right off her. They're like, get that off. That's their job, is to keep her clean. And they're like, what's this paint doing on here? And they'll get it off her. But once you've been doing this for a while, the queens, they jump right out at you. And that's one of the things that we notice when we're bringing new people in to see the
Figuratively
hives.
speaking, not literally.
Yes. When people come and what?
No, queen. I can just picturing a queen jumping out of me.
Yeah. Don't be afraid.
Okay.
Now I just totally lost my train of thought on that one. So we're going to move on to the next question.
Yeah,
Anyway,
you were rambling.
queen
anyway.
spotting is fun. We'll leave it at that. We'll wrap that up.
Is it safe to use comb from frames that had small hive beetle challenges from the freezer? The answer is yes. If the small hive beetle larvae that got into probably the pollen and even the brood, if as long as they hadn't done too much damage to the comb, freezing them will have killed everything in there. The bees will clean out anything like that and repair the comb. So you should be good if you've killed all the small hive beetle larvae in the frame.
Question is like 5 there. I just had a member ask about question about 5 days from today. So the 11th, the doors to Beekeeping 24/7 will close on the 11th.
Yeah, in fact, you can go to the website with the link we've put up, and we will put up again probably several times. You can go on there. There's a little counting clock on there saying how many days left you've got, but don't leave it to the last minute just in case you forget, because the doors will close.
Yeah.
Yes, you can go onto that page without committing to buying. You can go in there, read about it, and read more about what we offer and things. So just clicking on that link is not going to commit you to spending money. It's going to give you more information.
Yep.
And then you have to press another button in order to spend money.
That's right. Yes. No commitment, just to look at it. This one.
Okay, you were doing it here, but we'll come back to it. What 3 tips for people having trouble finding the queen?
There we
3
go.
tips.
Put
Okay.
me back online.
Okay. 3 tips. Number 1, the queen is rarely on the outside combs, but she can be.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, the queen is rarely on combs that are full of honey, so you can go not spend too much time looking on them. If the comb is absolutely full of capped brood, in other words, coffee-colored cappings all over the comb, it's full of brood. She's been there, but she's unlikely to be on there at the moment. The place where you're most likely to find the queen is frames where there's a lot of open cells and some very young larvae. Concentrate your time looking at those frames, because that's where she's most likely to be. Secondly, then also, you're likely to see when she moves around, apart from being just big, she's usually moving around the frame with purpose. And as opposed to the other bees, which seem more random, the queen looks like she's going somewhere. And she also often leaves a little wake of bees parting the crowd as she goes through. So that kind of makes her stand out sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And also another thing you'll see is you see a circle of bees around her. Mm-hmm. So her attendants they're feeding her, they're grooming her. So there's a nice little circle of bees.
Yeah, when she's stationary, she draws a crowd, and they're facing her in a little circle.
It is easy to miss, because if she's laying an egg and she's backed into a cell, it's really easy to pass right over her. So, but just because you don't see her does not mean she isn't there.
And sometimes we can spend an hour in a hive looking for the queen and can't find her. And other times you spot her right away.
Yep.
So don't distress if you cannot find the queen. As long as you see eggs in the hive,
she's there.
You know she's there.
Yep.
How do you get bees to come down if you see them starting to swarm? Well, there are some people that say you can do it's called tanging. Knocking tin cans together, or knocking pots and pans, trash can lids, that sort of thing. It's called tanging. In theory, it will bring the bees help get the bees to settle lower. as if there's some sort of storm coming or something like that. Personally, I think it's an old wives' tale, and it's unlikely to be very true.
I've seen it happen.
You've seen it happen?
I've watched it. I have seen it happen. You've got to hit just the right sound. I actually watched somebody do it. They were going up into a big tree. They took a wrench and was banging on a metal grate, and they came down into a lower pine tree. So I have seen it work. I've also tried to do it, banging pots out in my backyard, and all I got were my neighbors wondering why there was a crazy lady in the backyard banging two pots and pans together. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
It didn't work for me, but I have seen it happen.
Okay, which is kind of the definition of it's probably an old wives' tale.
Yeah, but well, yeah.
Well,
have an old
maybe it worked. Maybe it worked. The best thing to do is avoid your hive swarming in the first place,
Yep.
but or spot that it's going to and do something about it before it happens.
Oh, this is a good one.
But you,
As a
you always
member.
try getting the pots and pans out.
As a member, can I bring my mother with me to in-person classes? Kind of touching on that, if you buy a Beekeeping 24/7 membership, it's for the whole family. So
Yeah.
it includes the family.
It does it
But if
for
the
the in-person
in-person,
classes. It does
doesn't.
entitle one person to the
Right.
in-person classes
But you
because
can
we
bring
have a limited space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. You know, they're more than welcome to come and pay for the class. You can absolutely bring them. But on the computer and in the websites and the Facebook and stuff, that's good for the family. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you paint waxed hives? No, you can't get the paint on them. But as Amy has said before,
Crayons.
you put crayons on them, get the kids drawing on them
Yeah.
before you put them out there. But
Yeah.
generally speaking, waxed hives are supposed to just be left waxed.
Yep. Importance of smoke. Is there a trick to lighting it? Oh,
Watch the
Watch
video
the
we just put
video
today,
down below.
because yes, there is
Yes.
a trick. There is a trick to it, and to keep it lit.
Yep.
And so the trick is use small amount of fuel and get it burning fiercely. But watch the video we posted today. That will explain it perfectly.
hey, let's do another drawing.
If I say so myself.
Let's do another drawing.
Yeah, go right
Let's do it.
ahead.
Let's do it.
Go right ahead. Do you want to do it again?
All right, I can.
Yeah, I'm
I'm dropping,
What are you
throwing
doing,
stuff around. I'm
Steve?
throwing
Jeez.
stuff around.
I'm better at shaking pots than.
All right.
Okay.
All right. This is for a sweatshirt.
This
Sweatshirt.
is a
We're gonna do sweatshirt.
Sweatshirt. Oh, a bigger one.
Aaron Harry.
Hey, well done.
Aaron Harry, you have won a sweatshirt. Beekeeping 24/7 sweatshirt. Shoot us a message or an email with address and size. Aaron Harry sweatshirt. Congratulations. I gotta wait
Back
for
over there. Excuse me.
Aaron.
Well done. Well done.
Aaron
See, it's worth putting a name down on these
It
things, isn't
is.
it? Yeah, yeah.
Harry.
If there is no water source nearby, what would you use for water for your bees? I would a bird bath.
That's what
I would
use.
say rather than worrying about that drying out every day because they can empty it in a day,
Mm-hmm.
I would get a little kid's paddling pool and fill it with rocks and sticks and stuff, and then fill it right up with water. And that will be something which is very unlikely to dry out. You'll spot it before it dries out.
Yeah.
So that's a good way of getting a good water source for them. If you've got moving water, even better.
What is a safe way to mark the queen and with what? So there are pens that you can buy. So when you mark your queen, you can mark your queen on your own. If you buy a queen, the color of the dot on the queen's back goes by the year. Like 2025 would be green, and 2024 was blue. But if it's for your own, just for yourself, so you can find her, you can do any color you want. But there are queen marking pens, and there are little tubes that you can buy. You've got to catch your queen, get her into the tube, and you very gently push her up towards the top of it, and it's almost like screening, and you just put a little dab of paint right on her back.
Yeah.
I'm always terrified to do it because I'm always afraid I'm going to hurt my queen.
Did a little bit of it last year. It was kind of fun.
It was
So
fun.
I generally hadn't done it before last year.
Yeah.
I always promise myself I'm going to and just never get round to it. But it is kind of good. It's great being able to spot the queen so quickly when
Quickly.
they've got a marked queen.
Yeah. Yep.
In winter, I put a tray of sugar on the top box. Can I do that all year instead of sugar water? No. Basically, putting sugar bricks, fondant, that sort of thing for feeding in winter is specifically because we can't give them sugar syrup, and it's convenient, but it's basically a solid source which doesn't add water to the system in the wintertime. Sugar syrup, and basically the bees will sustain themselves on that food, but little else. Putting sugar syrup on mimics a nectar flow, and that's like pouring gasoline on the fire, because basically it accelerates the bees start thinking honey flow has started, time to get busy. Queens start laying eggs much faster, comb starts getting built. It makes an enormous difference. It's a boost to the hive. And so the answer is no. You want sugar syrup, and 1-to-1 sugar syrup in the spring to boost them on. And that's for a new hive. You don't necessarily have to do that at all during the spring.
Another one, I saw a question kind of blew up through there. They said, how do you keep the sugar syrup from freezing in the winter? You don't feed them sugar
You don't feed
syrup
it to
in the
them.
winter. In fact, you stop feeding the sugar syrup when it starts getting too cold for the bees to go out and fly around.
Yeah, I would say basically by the time you're down into the 50s in the fall, daytime temperatures, stop feeding sugar syrup. It's time then to go on to solid food.
Can you hatch your own queen to expand your hives? So, yes, and sometimes the bees do it for you. If your hive starts to get a little bit crowded, your bees will start to do prepare to swarm. And when they prepare to swarm, they make a whole bunch of queen cells, and they make a bunch of them. And we can do certain management techniques to keep them from swarming, but you can also take that opportunity to maybe make your own nucleus colony with one of the swarm cells. You can do a split and make another hive and put one of those queen cells in to start to expand your apiary. When it gets to a point where they're going to swarm, we try to prevent that. But if that does happen, there's an opportunity to maybe split a hive.
However, I think the question was more towards, can you deliberately do it? And the answer is yes.
You
can set up to rear queens specially. In fact, one of my students from 10 or 15 years ago set up a nice business rearing locally reared queens and selling queens all over the country. Basically, yes, you can set up to rear queens specifically. And in fact, I'm determined to do some videos on that in Beekeeping 24/7 this summer, because I think we've got a lot of interest in people raising their own queens. And so we're planning to do some of that.
Especially you get a hive with some really good genetics. I have one hive that's just phenomenal. And, if you can keep those genetics going, those are the ones you want to.
You did that one, didn't you? Should I wait?
Yep.
Right, okay.
Yep. Wax boxes versus unwaxed. I mean, it's just a wax box. It's just another protective layer for your hive. And then painting your hives will do the same thing.
That's right. We would use a colored latex paint. Any exterior latex paint will work very well on protecting your hives. Wax coating will also do it, but you won't be able to paint it if you get a wax coating on it.
I almost think we have more questions coming in this time than we did on the
Quite
last one.
amazing, yeah, quite amazing.
Like I said, we thank God for our helpers. We have so many questions here. We're going to be answering a lot of these via typing, so we're trying to get through these as quick as we can.
But it's a Saturday tomorrow, and you're not at work, so you'll be answering some of them too, won't you?
Yeah, I will be.
That's right. That's right.
How do you know when to add another brood box or honey super?
A good rule of thumb is, when you've added a box, when it is about 70% built, they may not even have started 3 of the frames on the outside edges, but it's about 70% built and pretty much occupied by the bees, it's time to get your next box on. And when that is about 70% built, it's time to put your next box on, and so on. Eventually, they will stop. As soon as the honey flow finishes, they're going to stop expanding, and they're just going to concentrate on what they've got. So it's not like you're going to be building a multi-story building. But basically, the rule of thumb is once it's 70% built, not full, it's built, then get on with your next super.
Do you do hive inspections in the winter? No, especially not up this way when the temperatures are really cold. The bees work hard to keep that hive nice and warm, and if you open it and do an inspection, you're going to let all the heat out. So we don't. The only thing we do up here in the winter, especially up where we have snow, we may heft the hive to see if it's getting really, really light, which means they might need some food. and we might put some winter patties in. We'll open the top, slide it in, and shut it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
The temptation is there to want to look in and see what, but don't do it. I mean, we wait all winter just waiting until we can get out and take a look at our
You
hives.
get a day in the 50 degrees, by all means do it.
Yep.
Don't move your frames around.
Don't do a full
But
inspection.
by all means, have
But take a
a little look. Should we plant wildflowers? It never hurts to plant more wildflowers and give the bees a bigger variety of food sources. But really, to be honest, as much as I would like to see people planting as many wildflowers as possible, what we can typically plant in our own little property, I'm talking about half an acre or an acre, is not going to make a huge impact to the bees. The bees are going to fly for 2 or 3 miles around the hive to find their food. However, it's always good to have as big a variety as possible, and it makes us feel a lot better, and we love seeing the bees working the stuff that we plant. So plant away. It's not going to make a huge impact, but it does improve the variety and the availability of food when things are getting tough. So particularly if you plant stuff that'll be in bloom when other things are not. Mm-hmm. So that is a more incentive to do some planting.
Do we offer an advanced course? We have an intermediate course.
Yeah,
we do have an intermediate, which has
which
a lot
compared
more.
to this is very advanced.
Very advanced. Yeah.
We would cover in things like that, like queen rearing, like splitting hives, the Damari method, making nukes, quite a few things like that. So yes, we do, and we'd encourage you to participate in that, because it really is, once you start getting more and more, the more you know, the more fascinating it is. And the bees are surprising me every day, and I've been doing it since 1972.
How do we contact you for mentoring? By joining Beekeeping 24/7.
Yeah,
That's where we do our
directly
mentoring.
that way.
Yeah. Ooh, there's lots of questions here.
Does it have to be fresh water all the time, or can I fill and leave for like a week? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the bees will
like
be
roof
going,
water.
they'll go on muddy pond water and muddy puddles and that sort of thing. They'll be collecting the dew off the grass and that sort of stuff. But basically, yes, the bees, you can leave it for weeks, and the bees are going to go for that water.
How often do you inspect hives? We recommend maybe, once a week.
Once a
Try to
week
get
to
in at
once
least
every
once a
other week. I mean, the more frequent, you can even go in more frequently, but you're more likely to, you set the hive back a little bit each time. I would say that the hives there's a benefit from your learning far outweighs the disruption to the hive. So weekly is a great target. If you're going to be on vacation and you're going to be away, you can skip a week, that's fine. Remember, if you skip two weeks and you go for a 3-week gap, that's more than enough time for a hive to get crowded and decide to swarm and actually swarm in that period of time. And so by going in weekly, you will see it coming and you can take action to avoid it. So that's why it's really good if you can do it weekly, but it's not essential. And to be perfectly honest, during the dearth periods when there's very little happening, little food coming in, I hardly go in the hives. I might not go in the hive for a month, except to do mite checks and that sort of thing.
Yep. How to keep bees out of the pool/spa? Well, they love pools/spas. There's something about chlorine water that they really like. However, I actually dealt with this at my cousin's house. They had a pool and their neighbor had bees. One thing you can do is have a decent freshwater source in between. If the pool's over here, put your freshwater source in between it, and keep it full. If it dries up, and they'll start going to it if it's closer. You don't want it right up next to your hive, all right? Because when they fly out of the hives, that's when they go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So have it a good at least 20 feet from your hive, but once you've got it there, you need to keep that full. If that dries up, they're like, the pool's right over there, and they're gonna just go over there, and it's hard to get them.
Then they keep going to that until that dries up, and they typically don't.
And I've heard of some people putting a few drops of chlorine in the water as well. That won't hurt them. They tend to like it.
Once they're trained in the swimming pool water, then the chlorine attracts them. The chlorine doesn't necessarily attract them to start with, but once they've tasted the chlorine from that, they think, okay, that smell reminds them of water. They go there. What temperature is safe before I open the hives first in the spring inspection? And what temperature for splitting hives? Okay. I would wait until the bees are flying most days. If necessary, I sometimes even go into my hives when it's 48 degrees, but I'm splitting hives to make nukes and that sort of thing. So I would, as a hobbyist, typically not go into my hive unless it's well into the 50s. And even then, very briefly. Once it's in the 60s, you can go in for longer, 70s, longer still. What temperature for splitting hives? Again, I would try to wait until your 60s, 70s plus.
As one person says, my pool will be closer if I do water 20 feet away. You can try turning your entrance in another direction and putting a water source 20 feet in
Another
that
thing
direction.
you can try, if you have a pool that close, if you can go to a garden center and get like a drip irrigation system, the tiniest drip irrigation system, where it hardly uses any water, but it's continuously having a drip, drip, drip on a surface that the bees can go to. They love that sort of thing, like a little leaky faucet. And so that might be a really good thing, to have it dripping down a board or something so the bees can fly and land on the board, not drown, and they can get the water source that way.
My neighbor has hives about a quarter-mile away who has bees. Will I cause problems for them, confuse the bees, or lower production? No, you'll be absolutely fine. That they may go visit each other, and on that note, if they do go visit each other, if you're friends with that neighbor, it's a good idea to maybe talk about when they're going to do mite treatments. If you guys can kind of get on the same schedule with your mite treatments, and make sure that they do their mite treatments, that will help with, because like I said, sometimes they will go and visit each other's hives, and some bees can bring mites into a hive. So it's a good idea to get on the same schedule when you're treating for mites. But no, it will not be a problem. In fact, I could see my neighbor's hives from my deck. So
What time are we at the moment?
so we are almost done here,
Oh
folks.
gosh. Okay.
Holy cow, we did not even.
We have another drawing to go.
We do. We have one more. So we've done the hat, the sweatshirt. We have t-shirt. T-shirt drawing. Shayla Belts.
Very good.
You have won a t-shirt. Shayla Belts. Shayla, send us a email or a message through Bee Whisper and let us know what size you'd like. The t-shirts run a little small, so if
in doubt, say a bigger size.
yeah, go up a size, but they're really cool shirts. So congratulations. Folks, we're almost at our hour mark here. So we're gonna start wrapping some stuff up, wrapping up this workshop. However, Peter and I talked tonight, and we are gonna stay with you for a few more days. Yeah.
So like over the weekend, we'll post another video or two. So keep. There's still the opportunity to ask questions. And remember, you learn from other people's questions as well. So scroll through the questions as well as the new posts that we put up there. And we'll be more than happy to do our best to help you with that right now.
So remember, we would love to have you folks. You guys are great. You're exactly the kind of people that we have in Beekeeping 24/7. We would love to have you join us. We absolutely love doing this. If you've liked what you've had here this week and you'd like to have it continue for 24/7, join us. Come on over. Again, you can cancel anytime.
Yep. And don't forget, you've got a coupon. It's newbie, capital N, capital E, capital W, capital BEE.
Yep.
So newbie.
And that will refund you the cost of your workshop. So your workshop will have been free, the $10. You'll be entered for a drawing for the Beekeeping Jet, the 3 triple layer jacket. So I'm going to put a link up, and it'll be a post. Just click on it. It says join us in Beekeeping 24/7 now. Click on that, and that will take you to a page that'll give you information. It doesn't mean that you have to spend anything right then, or you're not committed to anything. It'll just give you the information on a little bit more about what we offer.
Yeah, but just remember the opportunity to join is going to close in 5 days from now. So February the 11th, the doors will close.
Right.
So we certainly hope we see you then. Don't leave it to the 11th. join us right away, and we look forward to seeing you in Beekeeping 24/7. But in the meantime, enjoy the extra bits that we put on, and we'll be chatting to you as
We'll be giving you some more freebies.
That's
on
right.
there. And also this page. This page will be up and available for you to view everything until the 13th. After the 13th, we'll be shutting this page down. So if there's anything you want to go back and watch or rewatch, do it. For those of you who joined us a little bit late, make sure you get all your viewing in before the 13th, because the page will be shutting down on the 13th. So again, thank you everybody for a wonderful week. You guys have been great. You guys energize us and get us, excited to get back into our own hives. And we really, really hope that you decide to join us in Beekeeping 24/7.
That's right.
All right,
Thanks very
folks.
much, everybody.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.